Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August 1st, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting. Would you all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we didn't have anybody indicate they had public comment. Approval of warrants. Jason, do you have those?
Yes. Yes, I do. I'll make a motion to approve payroll warrant 2305 in the amount of $214,060.47.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent.
I'll make a motion to approve bill warrant 2305 in the amount of $1,856,988.17, which breaks down to the town, $278,561.81, water and sewer, $40,584.66, payroll withholding, $63,503.53, light bills, $364,370.02, grants and revolving accounts, $77,328.23, and Pawtucket assessment, $1,032,639.92.
And a second?
I'll second
A
that.
motion and a second. Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Approval of the minutes of May 9th, 2022. And we have that. Did anybody read those over again? And they look to be in order. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes for Monday, May 9th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Appointments of the board. Appointment of Liam Greenham, 2 Parker Circle in Groveland, to the position of reserve dispatcher, lockup keeper with the police department for a probationary period effective August 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And we have the recommendation of the police chief for the appointment.
I'll make a motion to appoint Liam Greenham of 2 Parker Circle to position of reserve dispatch lockup keep with the Groveland Police Department for a probationary period starting August 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Next, appointment of Bill O'Neill, 45 Elm Park, Groveland, to the Recreation Committee effective August 1st until June 23rd, 2023.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bill O'Neill of 45 Elm Park, Groveland, to the Recreation Committee effective August 1st until June 23rd, 2023.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 2 in favor. Opposed? 2 opposed. Motion fails. Appointment of Danielle Albright, 41 Taylor River Estates, Hampton, New Hampshire, to the position of Economic Development, Planning, and Conservation Administrative Assistant, effective July 29th. 10-hour-a-week position, the rate of $21 an hour.
So, I didn't know about this until tonight. I was wondering if we could put it off till the next meeting, just so I can do a little bit more research on that. I don't know if that's allowed.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to table?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to table this, just so I can educate myself a little bit better on it,
Okay.
just till the next meeting, please.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second on the motion to table?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor of tabling? 3 in favor, opposed? 1 opposed, 1 absent. 3 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent. Table. Rebecca, make sure we can get that on at the next meeting. Votes of the board. Special event permit Heidi Demers for a Yale Dartmouth block party on August 30th, 2022, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Suggested street closure. And is Heidi here?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, she is actually on Zoom, but I would just like to open with, I made an error on the agenda. It should be August 13th, not August 30th. And then also, in line with prior procedure, I did reach out to the fire chief and the police chief since there was road closures involved. And the fire chief had said that barricades must be easily moved for emergency apparatus access. Parking on road must be kept to a minimum, assuring room for emergency apparatus. If a medical emergency does occur, please have someone available to point first responders in the direction of the person needing medical attention. And the police did reiterated the same, no objections as long as first responders have unfettered access if needed.
Okay, does Heidi know about that? Is she receptive to those? Heidi,
Sorry?
can you hear us?
I was kind of muffled, honestly, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's all right. Well, Rebecca, can you try that again?
Well,
The conditions?
So essentially, the fire department and the police department just want to have certain positions in place in terms of barricades or any access, and I can send you the specifics in terms of that afterwards, so you can see exactly what he said, but just essentially no parking on the sides of the street, barricades easily removed, and the ability of emergency personnel to access the area if needed.
Sure, we were actually just thinking it would be something that said local access only, not even a total barricade. It's just that our street tends to be a cut through, and if Harvard is available, people can still continue to cut through Harvard, so that's all we're thinking, is just using Yale and having a sign saying local traffic only, so that was fine.
Okay, did everybody get that? Everybody get that?
Yes.
What's your pleasure? Make a motion, we want to make a motion with
Make a
approval with the conditions? Dan, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve a special event permit for Heidi Demers of Yale Dartmouth Block Party, it should be a Y there, on August the 13th, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. With the requirements stipulated by Rebecca, by the
Okay.
police and fire department.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I
None.
still have my concerns, just like with the similar application we took last time, on whether or not everybody on the block is participating.
No, maybe Heidi can clear that up. Everybody on the block going to be participating?
Is who?
Everybody on the block?
Yeah, so there's 42 houses, and what we wanted to invite was everybody on Yale, on Harvard, and on Dartmouth, and actually Staunton, and limit it to that. And for the most part, we're thinking of just using the circle anyway and not having things in this actual street. We just wanted to allow for safety of kids walking back and forth, because people do fly down the street, which is why I request about the sign just to say local traffic only, in case we do get a good turnout. I know that they've never done this, so.
Okay. Is it clear with you, Jason?
Well, an invitation isn't somebody that's gonna be guaranteed they're gonna be happy with having a big party. What is the hours on the party?
The hours
Before? So it's during the day?
11 to 5.
Actually, 11 is setup stuff, so.
Set up and break down too.
Clean up 4 to 5.
Okay.
11 to 5.
Yep.
Break down 4 to 5. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, there was a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you. Property use permit, Janelle Labrie, weekly yoga classes, August 1st through September 30th at the Pines Recreation Area. And we have her permit application.
Say the dates per se, but I did ask for clarification, and she said it would be from August 1st through September 30th. Would be, at 11 a.m. And it would be the playground, or the area closest to the playground on the utility field side.
Okay,
Just quick question.
go ahead.
Not last meeting, two meetings ago, we approved, I forget exactly what it was, for that same area,
The kids group.
the kids group, yeah,
So
that's,
they were using the pavilion area, even though we had mentioned that we wanted to free up those tables. And then when the dog park started to get constructed, they actually chose a new location.
oh, okay.
So they're no longer at the Pines.
All right, I just want to make sure it wasn't gonna
Definitely.
get in each other's way.
Okay. You have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept this property use permit for the summer to fall weekly yoga classes for Janelle Labrie.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Special event permit, North Shore Cyclist Incorporated, Ray Best Bike Ride and Picnic on September 4th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Pines Recreation Area.
Mr. Chair, I did reach out to the health department and the police and fire about this event as well. The health agent stated that they would need a food permit based upon what they were proposing, and I had put the applicant in touch with Rosemary Deasy, our health agent. And I also reached out to the fire and police, and they had no objections. The police just asked that they be notified of the approval so that they could make sure that they were aware of any cyclists in the roadway. And I believe that Paula is online for any additional questions.
Okay? And so there was, we would need a motion and with continuing on the health department inspections. We want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the special event permit application contingent on the food permit from the Board of Health.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Moving right along. Temporary storage at 46 Washington Street by Pawtucket Regional School District. Rebecca, you have some information on this?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. I was contacted by one of the facilities coordinators about utilizing the site over at 46 Washington Street, specifically the area that we call the 3rd floor, not the 1st floor or the basement, but the wooden structure on the side, specifically for receiving new equipment and materials for the new middle high school. They are starting to reach certain milestones, so the suppliers are sending over materials for payment, so it's just coming in a lot faster than they're able to handle on site. So they're looking to utilize the space and would be a staging and loading area. They would just bring the inventory over to the school areas. There will be no exterior storage. It will be temporary, 3 to 6 months max, and the school business manager stated that they would insure these items since the insurance that the town has it as a vacant building.
All right, thank you. Anybody got any questions on that? On the storage?
What'd you say about
Go ahead.
insurance? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jason.
Have we considered any impact to the people on Washington Street? Or,
For truck traffic,
yeah,
they said it would be minimal, but that's just what they had spoken to me about.
Dan, you had something?
What'd you say about vacant
Sorry,
insurance?
what was that again?
What'd you say about the insurance?
So our insurance covers it as a vacant building, so I asked the business manager if he had any suggestions in terms of storing additional space, since it would not be an additional cost to the town for those items. And he had stated that they would insure those items for the temporary time being.
What else is, the building being used for currently?
Currently, nothing.
Does that affect what we spoke about previously about potential grant money for underutilized buildings? Is there any,
Since it's
issue
temporary
there?
storage, I do not believe so.
don't believe so.
I strongly don't believe so, because it really is minimal, and it's not impactful, and it's just for 3 to 6 months.
All right.
Mike, did you have something to add? Thank you.
Mike Dempsey for the Community Preservation Committee. So I just wanted, while you had this on the agenda, I thought that I'd give you a little update, because we haven't talked about it for a little bit of time, on 46 Washington Street. So the Community Preservation Committee has paid all the previous work that was done on the building from our admin funds. So that was approved in June. And then the new Mill Pond Phase 1 CPA project to clean up the site and the landscape is proceeding, and as planned. So the specifications for the 3 parts of that project, including the land survey, the landscaping, and cleanup of the rear yard, have been written, and Selectman Castronellis is pursuing estimates on the survey and cleanup. My wife, Jan Dempsey, is working with Kathy on the estimates for the landscaping, and we expect to perform the landscaping and survey in September, and the cleanup in October sometime. So that, once all 3 of those things are done, the Phase 1 of the project will be complete. And also want to thank the Water and Sewer Department and the Highway Department, who are assisting in the cleanup and some of the grading around the building.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions for Mike? Mike, this is rare. Mike, no questions.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we allow them to use it for the 46 Washington Street, for the Pawtucket Regional School District to use it for storage, as long as it doesn't screw up anything for the future use, that, what we just talking about, the unused building things.
Grant money.
Yep.
As long as it's not gonna screw with that, I'm for it.
All right.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
As long as it's 100% certainty that it doesn't jeopardize a grant.
Okay. Anybody else? No. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Clarification on vote taken June 6, 2022 for the rate increase of the COA Assistant Director. If I understand this correctly, the Council on Aging couldn't meet tonight, and we could probably clarify our vote from June 6th. Rebecca, you had some information on that?
Yep, there was just some confusion about the vote taken in terms of the calculation. So we were putting together the wage salary sheet in order to come up with the employee's wage that we have to do prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, so that we can submit it with payroll. And we were submitting the sheet. You can see the sheet attached in your packet. One of the grants had not yet been received, so the salary essentially needed to be cut, the $9,000 that was coming from that grant, until the grant was received in January. So the employee was given the initial increase, and then upon receipt of the grant, it shows that the employee would receive the additional grant monies. And there seems to have been some miscommunication with the vote that was taken on June 6th, is that the employee would be given these monies automatically starting on July 1.
Okay, We have our, we have the minutes from that meeting. I just think that they requested that, there was a mix-up in the email. They weren't able to get everything together with their committee. So they just asked to have this tabled, but there's no reason why we couldn't just clarify our position. And somewhere I got the minutes of that meeting. Why don't you read it out so everybody has it? You got those, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have it.
We do.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And why don't you read it out, Jason? Review pay rate change request for Council on Aging Assistant Director.
Yeah, the town administrator noted that there was a request from the COA director to transfer money from one line item to the COA assistant director line, which cannot be legally done without approval from town meeting. There is an additional formula grant money through an executive office of elder affairs to fund the position. The town administrator explained the grant money, which has to be applied towards the program. Selectman Castronellis was not sure how the board could vote this. The Council on Aging Director, Amanda Fisher, was present and addressed the board to explain what the proposal was. The vote will be adjusted to the pay rate. The board has to approve this as a personnel board. The COA handles the grant. There is no control over the grant by the TA or the Board of Selectmen. Selectman McDonald suggests this be tabled. Selectman Castellalis asked what was approved at town meeting. The response was roughly $24 per hour for 30 hours a week. The request is increased to $30 per hour. Selectman Naves expressed concern that the town be on the hook for the increase next year. Anita Wright addressed the board and spoke in favor of this and noted this is nothing new using the formula grant money. So, Selectman McDonald verified with Anita that the Council on Aging were responsible for covering the increase. A motion was moved by Selectman McDonald and seconded by Parento to approve the COA proposal for the pay rate increase with a stipulation that the COA pay for the additional compensation and hours, and this is subject to review on the staff wage report. Voted 5 in favor.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Dan.
Rebecca, through the chair, is the issue here that they didn't have all the funds?
Yes, so they have the 37,982 allocation from the town budget. They have the 11,018 from the formula grant budget, but they do not have the $9,000 from the FY23 Mass DOT CTGP grant, which is not being, or awards are not being made until January.
So we can't, as far as I know, under payroll law, issue IOUs, correct?
That is my understanding. and-
So it's tentative and it's conditioned on receiving the funds. So I think their pay rate has to stay at what was approved at town meeting for the interim period until they receive those funds, and maybe we could, at a future point in time, or maybe discuss, maybe they get a bonus retroactively, but I don't believe you can just say, well, we'll give you the pay delta later. I don't think we can structure it that way.
I would agree with you, and that's why we reduced the pay, the total salary amount by the $9,000. And if you see the breakdown for the rate, we weren't denying them use of those funds, and use of those funds as soon as they're awarded, just when the funds are actually awarded, would they be able to give them to the employee?
Right. So I have to wait. And it can't be contractual that they're $30 an hour if we only have money for 21. Right?
So I believe that's the point of clarification is that they're looking for, and that we're all looking for, really. Is
So-
that the board understands that as well, and that was their intent when they made the vote.
Yeah, the only uncertainty I had was, well, now that we shed light on it, I thought they had the funds. Because how can you spend money you don't have, you know? It's counting your birthday money before your birthday, you know? You have to wait. So we could approve the pay increase, but it was conditioned on them paying for it, and they can't pay for it if they don't have the money. So I don't see any ambiguity in that.
Okay, I don't think we need a vote, as long as we have our clarification, and they will come in at the next meeting if we could make sure we get them on the agenda,
Okay.
when they discuss it with the board. Moving on. State election discussion, Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2022, known as the Votes Act of 2022. And we have the town clerk here to explain that. Beth, can you give an explanation? And this has to do with the election calendar.
Actually, it doesn't. The election calendar for the primary, since there's only 1 week of early voting, I don't have the option to make any adjustments to the hours. They have to be the regular operating hours of the office. So the only question tonight that needs to be voted on, in addition to the warrant for the election, is the use of police. The Acts of 2022 gave you the option to use police or constables, and many of the clerks are requesting police. So, but that has to be voted on by the Board of Selectmen according to the new law. The Board of
Okay.
Selectmen must authorize the use of the police, and then you can ask the police force to actually, based on the schedule of the officers, they can recommend who would be available to work.
So, so we have that down. Can you just give that one again? The vote earlier authorized, from the state, authorized you could use constables if the Board of Selectmen voted it?
No, it's either or. Constables normally work the election. I have to have somebody in authority to enforce the election laws and the rules with the 150 foot, and to make sure everything is going according to the.
So you need our vote. How do you want that, how do you want the motion to read?
Okay. I think I gave you an example of what you could do if you choose to authorize the police as well as the constables.
Police as well.
Because if we had one police officer outside, that was more of what I was looking for. We've always had the constables in the room to stand at the ballot machines and make sure everything is going well at the ballot machine. So I would like to continue that. The option now is to have a police officer as well, because the new law reads that it's either or, that you have to have either the constable or the police. And the vote must be taken by the Board of Selectmen or Town Council or the mayor,
All right, is
depending
that
on.
clear to everybody?
Mr. Chair, so there's a fee for the detail
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
And we did not take that into consideration
No,
for
we
the
did
budget?
not. And it's expensive to have the police officers.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? Mark, you were,
I don't know if I'm brave enough for that one. I know I'd screw that up.
Make the motion, but I want to discuss it. I'll make a motion to approve your request that the clerk's office can hire either or constables, Massachusetts constables, or police officers for, details for the election,
I don't think that's the way.
No, I don't think you can
wanna-
do that.
for the ballot.
You have to vote to authorize the use of the police.
I need a motion to do it. I need to frame it. Set me up. Alley-oop. I'm here. You want to
All
write
right.
it down?
I will read to you, it says, effective immediately, the law regarding assignment of the police officers at polling places is amended to require the Board of Selectmen, Town Council, or City Council to assign police officers and constables to polling places. Previously, this was the responsibility of the Chief of Police. Since Since this change is taking place before the primaries, you will need to communicate with your selectman or council to make sure that the detail officer is at the summer meeting before September. So this is kind of the note that, the information that came out from the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office, giving
Yeah.
us a synopsis of the acts of 2022.
Act of
It
22.
says "and" on this, but they told us it was "and/or."
Is there a MGL on that?
Yes,
The act,
I think it's 92. but
Chapter
just a
92?
second. Hold on a second.
92, yeah.
Did I bring it with me? I didn't bring it with me. I think the letter that I gave you states the Mass General Law, though.
Yeah, it's in here. Oh, good.
I didn't see that.
Just says chapter 92.
Okay. I'll take a stab at it again if I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I make a motion for the approval of the Town of Groveland to hire either constables or patrol officers for details at polling places consistent with Chapter 92.
I don't think that's it either. I think what you want.
There's two
is-
strikes, huh?
Well, you got one more. I think what you want is a vote to allow the constables at the polling place for the ballot box and the police department to enforce outside, make sure they're 150 feet away. How close am I?
Yes,
I'm
you are
close.
right on.
All right. I'll make a motion.
That's what I said, consistent with the act. I didn't get into the minutia, 150 feet. I mean, pardon me.
You want to try thirds?
No, I
Third
give up,
strike?
I quit.
All right, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we allow constables in the polling place for the ballot box security and allow a police officer outside to enforce the 150 feet from the polling place. Does that sound okay? I only needed one try at that one.
I'll second that.
Mark's gonna second that. Any further discussion? Dan?
Stylistic change.
Go ahead.
I have a question. What did it say about formerly, there was the charge of the police chief?
Yes, the chief no longer has the option to make the decision on that. It has to be the Board of Selectmen. You can ask the chief to assign personnel who are working that day, which is what I've also asked if you would do. So we'll give the authority back to the police to choose who will work the detail, but the Board of Selectmen must make the decision to use a detail.
Yeah. Question?
Go ahead.
Was this a battle between the patrolmen's unions and the constables on who gets details? Was that
No,
what this
this
is
is
all
strictly
about? I
the-
mean,
This is the legislature's ruling on the new, the voting.
but why?
Because
Why
they
did
changed
it, why
everything
did
on
it
the vote.
change?
They changed early voting to permanent, they changed vote by mail to permanent, so now they're, in order to make any changes, so on the next election, November, we have 2 weeks of early voting. The law states that I can make adjustments to the hours of availability based on our population, but for the second week, I cannot make any adjustments to the hours, which is why for the primary, which only offers 1 week of early voting, I cannot make adjustments. Early voting and voting on election day is all considered one and the same. So technically, if there was a situation that we needed it, we could authorize police to work all elections, early and on election day. The only thing I'm asking for is election day, not the early voting. I don't think we get the turnout for early voting, that we would need any additional officers to cover that week or that 2 weeks. But this has to do with all voting, not just election day voting.
But previously, it was only constables were permitted to do it? Is that what it was?
No, many cities use police as an assistance because they have, their polling locations might be all over the city or town. or in multiple locations. So the police are usually there to assist in bringing the ballots to and from, and they are also there to cover the day in the event that anything happens.
All right, so it's the secure ballots and the integrity of the election, which
Correct.
was in dispute in the last big one.
Correct. And they're just changing who has the authority to make that decision. So they're taking it from the police and they're giving it to either your town council, the board of selectmen, or the mayors.
That will add much more integrity to the system. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
At least here.
go ahead. Question?
Well, I don't know if we should hear from Chief Gillen before we make that decision.
Was he informed?
At our meeting last week, the department heads, I did mention it to him.
What was his response?
I mentioned that you would be voting on it and that I would ask that you still gave him the authority to appoint whoever was on schedule for the day to be the appointed officer here.
And how did he respond to that?
He nodded. Well, he's kind of waiting to see what you do, so I guess.
So it's up to
I
the
don't
Board
want
of
to put words
Selectmen.
in his mouth, so. he
That's up to
didn't-
the board.
Right.
Can I ask one question, please?
Sure. You identify yourself at the podium.
I'm Ruth Rivard. I live at 6 Berrywood Lane, and I've worked several elections in the town, and I recall there being 2 constables, and I recall there also always being a detail officer. Okay.
That's okay. During the 2020 elections, because of the additional funding for COVID and because of the issues with the elections, we were allowed to have police officers for that election, or those 2 elections, actually. We had never used police officers before that. We only used constables.
Okay,
Can I ask one follow-up question then?
Yep.
Then, just a follow-up to that, if the officers were here last year with COVID funding, that means that if we do have a detail, that I also chair the finance board for the town, and I don't believe that's been budgeted. So if you do choose to add the detail, that's something that we don't have in the budget, and we would have to find a way to pay for that, or to know that you'll be allocating funds that we don't have, that we're
well,
not prepared to have.
sounds like that you would have it for this election because there's an election coming up in November, and you would need additional funds for the November election. Am I correct?
They'll have 3 elections this
Oh, 3.
So the amount of money that was, we have 3 elections this year, so the amount of money that was authorized for payroll workers or payroll expenses, or election expenses, I should say, was not enough to cover all 3 elections, even without the police. So
Okay.
you're gonna run short because of the amount of early voting time.
Do we have any idea how short?
Not offhand, I wouldn't give you a figure, no. I gave my presentation when I asked for the money, so I asked for 2 things. I asked for an increase in pay, but I also asked for the increase for the number of hours, and they just level funded it at 8,500, which will not cover 3 elections with early voting.
Dan, you had something?
Yeah, why aren't the constables sufficient? Do we have to have a police detail?
They are sufficient if you want.
They are what? Say
They
again?
are sufficient if you wish to.
I'd just say forego the patrolman, nothing against police, but if we don't have the funds and it wasn't anticipated, we couldn't foresee the problem, then what are we gonna do? We
Right.
overdrew the budget last year, 103 grand, and here we are.
Right.
So I wanna stop that.
And this was all voted after the budget, after the fact, so.
Well, thanks
you-
to legislature again, Beacon Hill, for these, unfunded mandates, and, thanks a lot, Beacon Hill, appreciate everything they do.
Yep.
Send us the bill.
Yep.
So,
You could cut it and just make it
Send
the
them the
2
bill.
constables.
yeah, send them the bill. They're out golfing.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to, for constables inside of the election and police officer on a detail outside enforcing the 150 feet or whatever else that needs to be enforced. That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Dan?
Yeah, who makes the decision whether or not you hire the detail? Is that with us, under the statute?
Sorry, yes. Yeah, that's the way the law reads now, that you have to make that decision.
Has there ever been a problem with the status quo in terms of securing the ballots for integrity or any public safety issue? Has there ever been a problem?
No. No.
Okay. I think we keep the status quo.
Okay, you want to withdraw the motion and make, I'll withdraw the motion and Mark withdraw the second.
I'll withdraw. Leave it alone until we figure it out with the finance committee and everyone else, you know, and the chief, and sitting down and talking about it if we need to.
So then you just need to vote to have the constables.
I mean, if the police
Next
chief thinks
meeting.
it's imperative to have the police officer, I think we need another dialogue.
Okay.
It's not times of the essence today, is it? I mean, we could vote this next week or before the election or a month from now, or is there a time?
Yes, you
ti-
can. Yeah.
We have
When do you
time.
need the vote?
Yes, you
by?
do. Well, September 6th is the election day.
September 6th?
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Oh, but prior to that?
right.
We could do that at the next meeting?
Yes, because there's not a mandatory date that you have to make that decision by. Some of them have 20 days prior to the election, but I don't see it for that.
How about, do we need to vote to accept the
The
warrant?
warrant, yes, absolutely,
do that
tonight.
tonight.
Yes, please.
So we'll take care of this for the constable, the police officers first, and then we'll do the warrant.
Yes.
That's okay?
Yep, great.
All right, Dan, you want to make a motion? Stay with the status quo?
Make a motion to stay with the status quo. I mean, pending Jason's point, maybe the input of the police chief, if it's imperative, if we think it's safe, then the way, we'll continue what we're doing. But, you know, kind of blindsided with it, I don't know. Right?
I know. It is recommended at this point,
Well,
but it's not,
you know, in this day and age, you know, we all need to have, you know, sidearms, you know, and more. So, I understand public safety. You know, I'd rather have the police at the elementary school and the high school and the middle schools, but maybe elections too. Thank you.
welcome.
My motion is table it.
There's a motion to table. There's a second on the
Second
table? That's second. All in favor of tabling till the next meeting? Unanimous. 4 in favor, 1 absent.
Okay.
Thank you, and now we'll do a
The
warrant.
warrant. Very good, thank you.
We need a motion to approve the warrant that, for the upcoming election, September 6th, 7 to 8 p.m., for the following purposes: Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor, Representative in Congress, Counselor, Senator in the General Court, Representative in the General Court, District Attorney, and Sheriff. We need to approve the warrant. With that, all in favor, or motion?
Make a motion to approve the warrant for the 2022 state primary.
Second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you for coming in. Do we need to do anything with the election calendar and early voting schedule?
No, because we can't vote on that, we can't make adjustments because it's only 1 week.
Okay,
If it's, then the next election, the November election will have 2 weeks, and we could make an adjustment to the first week.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
while we got her here, love to have you. What's the deal with the mail-in ballots? Can you explain, were there any changes in that at all?
That's part of the Votes Act of 2022, that for all future elections, there will be mail-in voting and early voting. For a local election, the town can vote out of mail-in ballots and early. But for the
For a
state
warrant
elections,
article, we'd have to have a warrant article for that, or the Board of Selectmen could vote out
the
of
Board
that?
of Selectmen. It's the authority of the Board of Selectmen not to approve or not to vote mail-in voting for a local election, not for a state. We have no, we can't change a state election. We have to
we
have
allowed
both.
that in the past?
The
mail-ins.
legislature just voted to change and make it permanent. Mail-in voting is permanent.
Yeah.
Early voting is permanent for all elections. And it just gives the leeway to the municipalities to not participate in mail-in or early voting for a local election.
Are the mail-in votes, are they just as safe? I mean, can you check IDs? Can you prove who voted?
You check
You know, if
signatures.
Let's say if there was an elderly person and someone opened her mail or his mail, could they like check the box and mail it in for?
You have to sign the application. The card that came out to you in the mail is an application, and it's a request for a ballot. So you have to, for the primary, you have to choose a ballot choice, which is this, for this election, it's only a Republican or Democratic ballot choice. So you have to choose which ballot you would like mailed to you, and then you have to sign the bottom. And it's the signatures that can be cross-checked in the system.
So there's no ID requirement.
No. No. And if you were an inactive voter, by signing the application, that actually reactivates you, as opposed to if you came in on election day, you would have to show an ID to be reactivated.
Maybe we should vote on that agenda item.
No.
No, you don't have any authority to vote.
I don't want the mail-ins unless you're handicapped, you can't make it, or you're in the service or something, and you have
No.
the right to. But I mean, why? You just don't want to bother coming down?
So when it comes time for the local election, I have to ask you to opt out of it, not to mail and not to have early voting. So I will come back to you at that point, and you can make a decision based on the turnout for the last two elections, if you choose to participate in mail-in voting and early voting. Because it is expensive.
And there's an expense, too.
Yeah. And it's none of it's been.
Super time consuming, too.
Yes.
Absolutely. Who's paying that? The governor?
It's all an unfunded mandate.
Yeah, unfunded mandate, so. Could that, we vote against that?
When it comes up, sure.
Yes. See what your numbers are first.
No IDs, Joe Biden said it's like counting jelly beans or something in a bucket or something. What do you say? Yeah.
I think the third time you got it.
Right.
Thank you, Beth. Oh, boy. Thank you for coming in. Vote to designate Board of Selectmen member to participate in the informal discussion concerning the Pawtucket Regional School Regional Agreement. And we have a letter from Selectman Castronellis, who was unable to attend, that would like to be on that committee. And we want to make a motion?
Making motion to nominate Selectman Castronellis for to participate in the informal discussion concerning the Pawtucket Regional School Regional Agreement.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think we should discuss with her as a board what we're looking for, It's a big deal. That regional agreement should have caps in it, like Prop 2.5, so we don't have to jump through hoops like we did in this last election. So I think there's something ought to be in there about,
I think that's something that we can,
safeguards and budgetary restraint from our school committee. My 2 cents.
that's something that we can take the vote now, and then we can put that on the agenda, and,
Similarly,
charges.
similarly to my being the liaison now on the building committee, you want to know what I'm doing over there, I could vote contrary to 4 members on the board. That
okay,
would be just like me to do that.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? None. All in favor? When Kathy to, 3 in favor, opposed?
Yeah, I'll go with it. No, in favor. She can do it.
4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you.
Sorry, Mark.
Board of Selectmen, policies and procedures. I know you have something on that, Rebecca?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So essentially, I was just gonna request that, I know at the last meeting, we had gone back and forth with any changes or anything of that nature, and that's up to the board's pleasure, but I did wanna ask if we could potentially take the policies that we currently have and put them in one document. I know that when Kathy and Jason had asked for them, I struggled to kind of find what was the most amended versions, or what versions were the versions that were voted on, so I had to go back and find them, and I wanna just make sure that I have all of them in one location, and that way, whenever you decide, or if you decide, or what you wanna do with them, they're right there in one document.
Do we want to vote to authorize Rebecca to put all the current policies and procedures in one document, and we can address that at the next meeting? Sounds like the next meeting's going to be a longer one.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize Rebecca, the town administrator, to put together our policies and procedures in one document.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, further discussion?
Why?
Why what?
Why? There's other work to do, other fish to fry that are much bigger than that. That's what I think. It's just more scut work, sorry.
Well, we do have set of policies and procedures, but they're all over the, we got rules and regulations that we're supposed to follow, and maybe it might be a nice idea if they were all in one place. Be easier to look at. Anybody else? None. All in favor? Opposed? 3 in favor,
I
1
like,
opposed,
I like anarchy.
1 absent. Town administrator time. Rebecca?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have 2 updates. One is that we have just finalized the Office 365 migration. You probably all noted that you had some interruptions with your emails over the weekends. We are sorry, but everyone should be back up and running. BSS, our contractor, was in today to help make sure that all the staff computers were set up and that they had access to their email. We have a couple of employees that we need to get in touch with, but very minimal, maybe 2 at the most, that we need to set up on their Surface laptops. So it was a major undertaking, but we are very excited that it's done, and it will open up some additional software capabilities for some of the office staff. So that should be coming shortly. And then the other update is just to let you all know that we have partnered with the Water and Sewer Department to purchase rain barrels as part of the Think Blue campaign and the MS4 permit. Those will be available through the Water and Sewer Department, and it will have additional information for the public to go online and make a request and have those, and those will be free to the residents.
Rain barrels for the residents that want them at no charge.
First come, first serve. We only bought 40 of them.
I knew that. Thank you.
Just throwing out.
Selectmen's time reports. Jason, do you have
I
anything?
did.
Yeah, I really want to thank the highway department, the light department, and the water department for all the extra work they've been doing to make the most of all of the grants that we've been getting in.
Okay. Mark, you have anything?
I'm good.
Dan?
I was gonna bring up something, I forgot.
Maybe the building committee meeting?
Second.
The building committee?
Oh, yeah, building committee. I was talking to Bill Daly. He thinks that it's the first Tuesday of every month. So is that tomorrow night?
I have not seen an agenda.
Yeah, they don't post things, and you know, I love the school district so much, you know. So I look at their agenda online, the PRSD, and you look at the public notice and it says agenda, and so you go down and it says agenda. There's no talk. So I guess it's all about the building.
I trust you're going to take care of that.
It's
at the meeting.
inferred. It's inferred. What else could you be talking about other than the building? So I will bring that up because it's nondescript, and it'd be nice to have some public notice so people know what's going on with their $90 million or $140 million. So I'll be there with bells on if there is a meeting, but it'd be nice to know somehow, some way without chasing Swifty.
They usually send out an agenda, and I didn't get one. I don't know if it was part of the email issue, but as soon as I do get notice, and I'll check in with them tomorrow, I can give you a phone call and let you know.
Please call me on my cell phone.
Got it.
Thank you.
And I don't have anything. Old or unfinished business? Anybody got anything? Nothing. Other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting? Nothing? Nothing. Correspondence. July 5th, 2022 meeting minutes. July 18th, 2022 meeting minutes. November 4th, 2022 executive session minutes. November 8th, 2022 executive session minutes. November 15th, 2022 executive session minutes. November 22nd, executive session minutes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Next regular scheduled meeting would be Monday, August 15th.
Second it.
I guess I made the motion, Dan seconded it.
You did make the motion, did you not?
All right, I'll make it. Sure. And you seconded it? All in favor of adjournment? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, everybody.